Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is the Zohar reading for World Peace. My name is Albert. I'm hosting today's reading. Before we begin, I want to just greet everyone, say hello to all of the viewers and participants and friends from all over the world that are joining this reading. So let's see real quick, who do we have with us? We have Sean, who is writing Love and Peace from Melbourne, Australia. Kristen's writing love to all our brothers and sisters from around the world, from Sydney, Australia. Carl from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Julie from Salt Lake, Utah. Sylvie's writing love and shalom from the Netherlands. Elizabeth van der Graaf is writing hello from the Netherlands. Olu is writing love from UK. Misha is writing love and blessings from Lisbon, Portugal. Javi is writing hello, shalom from Colombia. All right, that was just a little taste of all the viewers that we have today. Thank you guys for joining us, for your participation. And before we begin, before we jump into today's reading of the Book of Zohar, let's watch just a little clip from Rav Laitman, just to give us a little taste, some background about the Zohar, about what's so special about this book. Here we go.
While reading the Zohar, you are in a special relation, proximation with the upper force. The upper force, it's called the innermost force that dwells in the general desire, which is the generality of existence. And then you have the ability to bring yourself closer to Him, to use Him. The using Him is by placing yourself towards Him artificially, where you want Him to do this over you. Suppose a small girl dresses like a queen. She wants to be a queen, so she dresses as a queen. And then that force works on her and makes her into a queen. We understand this kind of depiction. Okay, so that's what we have to do. So, if next to this force, which you call Zohar, you want to be rich, in control, in power, to be proud over others, this will be for you the potion of death. If you want to put on good clothing of bestowal and so on, this is what you'll have. So that is it's like this wondrous force. And what you want. You get, of course, there are conditions about it, but all in all, both through all of these bad cases, bad things where a person asks not what's for, not things that are in his favor, then that upper force teaches that person through that and shows him the right path. That's called work through suffering. It's not a neutral force that whatever you want you can get. It is a positive force, meaning that it has a special form of bestowal. If you don't ask for that form, then you get the very opposite, and learn from that. It's better search for the right kind of clothing, the right form. That's called the short and convenient path.
All right, so that was just a little taste from Rav Laitman about the Book of Zohar, about how special it is. And we're about to read together from the introduction to the Book of Zohar. As we know, that's the most powerful part. It's like the culmination. It's all of the force that's within the Book of Zohar. If you put that all together, all of that together is found within the introduction to the Book of Zohar. And before we begin, let's just take 20-30 seconds just to orient ourselves. What do we want to get out of this reading? How do we want the Book of Zohar to act on us? How do we picture these changes that are going to take place in us? Are we picturing them within us, or are we picturing them in the world? Are we remembering that the world is actually just a reflection of us? And so, where do we want this correction to take place? Is it within us, within the world? Let's just take a few seconds just to orient ourselves, orient our intentions, and what we want to get out of this reading. And we're going to be reading from the section called The Flower Buds, from the introduction to the Book of Zohar. The Flower Buds. In the beginning, Rabbi Shimon started. The flower buds have appeared in the land. The time of pruning has arrived, and the voice of the turtle dove is heard in our land. The flower buds are the work of creation, have appeared in the land on the third day, as it is written, and the earth shall spring forth grass. The time of pruning has arrived, is the fourth day, in which there was the pruning of the tyrants. This is why it is written about it, let there be lights, without a vav in Hebrew, which is a curse. And the voice of the turtle dove is the fifth day, of which it is written, let the waters swarm to produce offspring. Is heard is the sixth day, of which it is written, let us make man who is destined to put doing before hearing. In our land is the Sabbath, which is like the land of the living, the next world. Explanation. The flower buds are the 6 days of the work of creation. Vak, Hagat, Nehi of Zeranpin, from which the 10 Sefirot of Partzuf, Nukva of Zeranpin, are built. This is so because the Nukva has nothing of her own, and her whole construction is from what Zeranpin gives her. He interprets how the Nukva is built from the Vak of Zeranpin. He says appeared in the land on the third day, since the Nukva is called earth. The flower buds, Sefirot of Zeranpin, were received and appeared in the Nukva, who is called earth, on the third day of the work of creation. This was on the third day, Tiferet, since first she was emanated in the two great lights, and then she was equal to Tiferet of Zeranpin. It follows that she was emanated on the third day equally with Tiferet of Zeranpin, who is called the third day of the work of creation. Then they appeared in the land, since that state did not exist in Nukva. Hence, they appeared in the land means that they appeared so once. Afterwards, the time of pruning has arrived. This is the fourth day on which there was the pruning of tyrants. Since on the fourth day, the moon, Nukva of Zeranpin, was diminished, as we learned that the moon complained and said, two kings cannot use the same crown. And the Creator told her, go and diminish yourself. At the time she descended into a dot under Yesod of Zeranpin. Her bottom 9 fell into Bria, and only her point of Keter remained in Atzilut. And she stood under the Yesod, and henceforth she is built by Netzachod of Zeranpin. This is called pruning of tyrants, since the diminution became a preparation and a receptacle for receiving mochin of Chaya, and these mochin cut off all the shells that cling to the nukva. Pruning means cutting off, and the tyrants are the external ones, and the shells that surround the rose. The voice of the turtle dove is the 5th day. The turtle dove is Netzach of Zeranpin. The voice of the turtle dove is Hod of Zeranpin, who receives from the Hod that is included in Netzach of Zeranpin. For this reason, this reception is called the voice of the turtle dove. Heard is the 6th day. The voice of the turtle dove is received in the Nukva only through the 6th day, Yesod of Zeranpin, which includes Netzach Hod and imparts them to the Nukva. It is heard to the Nukva only on the 6th day. The rule is that the Nukva receives only from the middle line of Zeranpin, which is Da'at, Tiferet, Yesod, or from Da'at, or from Tiferet, or from Yesod. Heard is the 6th day, in which it is written, "Let us make man, who is destined to put doing before hearing." Hearing is Bina, since seeing and hearing are Chokhmah Bina. Doing is Malchut. In the second restriction, the bottom hay rose to Nikve Einaim to associate her with the quality of mercy, upper Bina. Yet, Abba moved Ima outside, and Abba himself was established as male and female. Since Einaim is Abba, and through the ascent of the bottom hay to him, the coupling of Rosh was established in the bottom hay, who is called Nikve Einaim, and Ima, Bina, went because of that from Rosh to Guf. Thus there are Keter, Chokhmah, and Rosh of Arechanpin, and Bina went out to the Guf. It follows that doing, the bottom hay, Malchut, comes before hearing, Bina, since Abba was established in the Nukva, who is called I, and the Nukva became like Abba, and the second Sphira after Keter. From the ascent of Malchut to Nikve Einaim, she was sweetened there and became fit to rise and clothe upper Abba ve'ima and receive mochin of Chaya like upper Ima. This is because the moon was full. Hence, upon the giving of the Torah, Israel said first, "We shall do and we shall hear," putting doing before hearing. By this they were rewarded with the reception of the Torah, since doing, Malchut, rose and clothed upper Abba ve'ima, and the Yovel, the 50th gate, was revealed. This is why the hearing was on the 6th day, since on it the correction of putting before hearing was done, as at the time of the giving of the Torah. For this reason, on Shabbat of Bereshit, Malchut became regarded as the land of the living, upper Ima. In our land is the day of Shabbat, which is a sample of the land of the living. Upper Ima is called the land of the living, and through the bestowal of the 6th day, Nukva rose on the day of Shabbat of the work of creation up to the upper Ima, and Nukva too became like the land of the living, since the lower one that rises to the upper one becomes like it. All right, we just finished one item. Let's take another few seconds just to reorient ourselves. Are we getting lost in this beautiful story? Or are we able to hold on to our intention? Let's take another few seconds just to recalibrate ourselves. Item 5. The flower buds are the patriarchs who entered in thought and entered the next world, Bina, and were hidden there. From there they emerged in concealment and were hidden in the true prophets. Joseph was born, and they hid in him. Joseph entered the Holy Land and erected them there, and then they appeared in the land and were revealed there. When are they seen? They appear when the rainbow appears in the world, and at that time the time of pruning arrives, the time to cut off the wicked from the world. Why were they saved? It was because the flower buds appeared in the land. Had they not appeared already, they would not have remained in the world, and the world would not have existed. Explanation. The Zohar explains the attainment of Mochin of Chaya of Zeranpin itself. The flower buds relate to Hagat of Zeranpin, which are called the patriarchs. The He of Zeranpin are called sons, and they are two partsufim that divide on Chazeh of Zeranpin, since Hagat are called the big zon, and the He are called the small zon. Hence, the Zohar makes the precision of telling us that it is from the great Zeranpin. And this is why it said patriarchs. They are called flower buds, which means plantings, since they grow like plantings. First, their measure was as that of Nehi. Afterwards, in Yinikah, they became Hagat. And then in the first Gadlut, they became Habat of Neshama. In the second Gadlut, they became Habat of Chaya. The flower buds are the patriarchs who entered in a thought and entered the next world, Bina. This refers to the Ibur, to the impregnation or the conception of Zeranpin, since during his Ibur, he rises to Abba Ve'ima, who are called thought and the next world. Abba is called thought, and Ima is called the next world. There is the beginning of the construction of Zeranpin in 3 within 3, which means that Hagat are clothed inside Nehi. This is why it was said, the plantings were as antennae of grasshoppers. He uprooted them from there and planted them elsewhere and raised it. The plantings are the patriarchs, Hagat from their root. Through their ascent to Chochmah Bina for Ibur, when he plants them elsewhere, they obtain there the sweetened Malchut, which is fit for Mochin at the time of Gadlut. By that, they gradually grow in Ibur, then through Yenikah, through the first Gadlut, and finally through the second Gadlut. From there, they emerged in concealment. Once Hagat receives all the Mochin of Ibur, they are born and emerge from Abba Ve'ima to their place below. They emerge in concealment, since after their exit from Abba Ve'ima to their place, they still remained in concealment, in diminished light. They were hidden in the true prophets, means that by obtaining Mochin of Yinikah, the unique light was extended to Nehi of Zeranpin, the true prophets. Then Hagat expanded for them out of Nehi, and he obtained Vak. This is why they are still hidden, for they are still in concealment of Mochin of Rosh, and only have Nefesh Ruach. This is why it was said that they were hidden inside the true prophets. They are Netzachod that they obtained through the Yenikah, but they were hidden in them because their light disappeared and is no longer revealed. Know that there is always an inverse relation between vessels and lights, for in relation to the lights, the light of Hagat, meaning Ruach, is obtained through Yenikah. In relation to the vessels of Netzachod are obtained in Yenikah, and the light of Nefesh that were in Hagat descended in them. Similarly, in Mochin of Gadlut, in relation to the lights, it is considered that the light of Habat is obtained, and in relation to the vessels, it is considered that they obtained the vessel of Yesod of Gadlut. Joseph was born, and they hid in him. After the completion of the Mochin of Yinikah, Zeranpin rises for a second Ibur to Mochin of the first Gadlut. Through these Mochin, his Hagat became Habad and Rosh, and the Nihi that he acquired through the Nikah became Hagat for him. Then, new Nihi were born to him, which are called Nihi of Mochin of Gadlut. These Nihi are called Joseph, who is Yesod of Gadlut, which includes Netzachod of Gadlut. This is why it was said Joseph was born, meaning Yesod of Gadlut. Okay, let's take a second, recalibrate ourselves with another clip from Laitman.
Bala Sulam writes here about Rashbi and the secret he wanted to reveal, and he had doubts about it. What's the big secret concealed in the Book of Zohar? I don't know, probably Rashbi didn't tell? No, really, what's the big secret? The big secret is that if you relate correctly to the book, you draw from there the reforming light. The reforming light, which you draw, it could be both the potion of life and the potion of death, depending on how you relate to the Zohar and to the Torah in general. You see, the Tanakh, Talmud, Mishnah, Talmud, all the other books written by Kabbalists, in all the fields of the Kabbalah, they're not forbidden. Only the Zohar was forbidden, only the Zohar was concealed. And also other Kabbalistic scriptures, but especially the Zohar. Why? Because there's light in it, and in the others, not that much. For us, God forbid to say that there's no light in the Torah written by Moses. But for us, there is none. It's extremely exalted and high, and the Zohar is close to me. But if I'm still in the ego, I can use it in order to receive, and then that light turns into the potion of death for me. If I want to achieve bestowal, then that light, it turns into the potion of life for me. It helps me achieve the vessels of bestowal. But we see that even with the ordinary Torah, if a person studies it incorrectly, he becomes more egoistic, he demands more. I deserve it, everyone must serve me, I'm great, I'm special, I'm righteous. Why does he think that? Because the light of the Torah became a potion of death for him, increasing his ego. Instead of decreasing it, instead of feeling himself less than others, he feels himself more than others. Now, you want the wisdom of Kabbalah to be studied that way too? People were undergoing a process. What does it say in the Zohar? At the end of the days, that wisdom shall be revealed for the correction of the world. When the world will be ready for correction, when they'll start discovering how truly it is meant for correction. So come the Kabbalists of the last generation, and they're the ones telling us that the time has come.
All right, very powerful words from Rav Laitman. Let's really calibrate ourselves for this reading to correct us, and of course we will see this correction reflected in the whole world. And we're continuing. And they hid in him means that Haggad still do not have the complete lights of Gadlut and are still in concealment. This is so because in the first Gadlut he obtains only Mochin of Neshama, which are still regarded as posterior for Zeranpin. This is why it is said that they hid in him, since they are still concealed. Joseph entered the Holy Land and established them there, for after the Mochin of the first Gadlut, Zeranpin begins to receive Mochin of the second Gadlut, Mochin of Chaya. At that time, the Nukva is cut off from him and is built as a whole Partzuf in Mochin of Chaya. Then the Nukva is called the Holy Land, since the mochin of Haya is called holiness. Joseph, Yesod of Gadlut of Zeranpin, entered the Holy Land, the Nukva, face to face with Zeranpin at an equal level. He established them in the Holy Land, since mochin of Haya, the light of Chokhmah, are drawn only in the coupling of Zon as one, and they remain only in the authority of the Nukva, because only by her are they drawn during the coupling. And he erected them in her house, since the value of Zeranpin compared to the Nukva is the value of the upper Abba Ve'ima compared to your suit. Hence, Mochin of Haya, a light of Chokhmah, appears only in Nukva, which is considered your suit. Then they appeared in the land and were revealed there. Now they have become sufficiently revealed in the quality of Gadlut. But until now, they were regarded as hidden and concealed. When are they seen? The Zohar already explained that they appear when Joseph enters the Holy Land, meaning at the time of the coupling, and the place of revealing is in the Nukva. Thus, why is he asking again, when are they seen? The thing is that even during the coupling, there are two discernments. One, incorporation of the left and the right, the five Hasidim in the male, and two, incorporation of the right and the left, the five Gvorot in the Nukva. This is why he asks, when are they seen? During the incorporation of the right and the left, or during the incorporation of the left and the right? Answer, when the rainbow is seen in the world. The rainbow is Yesod of Zeranpin in the world, in Nukva. This is an incorporation of the right and the left during the coupling. As it is written, I have set my bow in the cloud. Only from that are the upper mochin extended, and then they appear from the incorporation of the right and the left. And at the time of pruning, a time to cut off the wicked from the world. When the wicked multiply in the world, there is much gripping to the shells in the Sitra Achra because of them, as was at the time of the generation of the flood, for which all that exists in the world was wiped out. At that time, the people in the world have no other hope but through the disclosure of the upper Mochin, Mochin of Haya. Why were they saved? It is because the flower buds appeared. Why were the people of the world saved from extinction? As it happened at the time of the flood, it was because the flower buds appeared in the land. This is so because disclosure of Mochin of Haya removes the shells from the land, Malchut, and they can no longer grip to it. As it is written, and I will look upon it to remember the everlasting covenant. Had they not been seen, they would not have remained in the world. First, the Nukva is built with two great lights, and she has an equal level with Zeranpin. However, she stands at the posterior of Zeranpin. This is why the moon complained that two kings cannot use the same crown. For this reason, these mochin are regarded as posterior mochin. They are called mochin of Vak, of Nukva, which are mochin of her katnut from the beginning of her formation. All right, we are out of time. I want to thank you all for participating in this Zohar reading. Let's see, maybe we have a few seconds just to see who was with us today. Javi's writing hello, shalom from Colombia. Freddie's writing hello from Romania. Carly's writing, sending a heart from California. Ed is writing hello from Northern Ohio. Annie Kurtz is writing shalom. We have Eva, Frederick, Cannibal, Steve, Annie, Christina, Sean, and many, many friends. Thank you all for participating with us. And we will see you again next week for another reading from the Book of Zohar.